RockTrue Science is a cross cultural response to the lack of diversity in STEM fields. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. RockTrue Science is designed to serve the intellectual need of fallen man while serving the desire for interdependence to better understand our physical world while still pursuing spiritual growth. Rock True Science seeks to inspire, enlighten, and highlight upcoming and established local and international kings and queens of STEM fields while promoting Black consciousness and awareness of who we are and to whom we belong. Good evening,
Good evening.
Truthers. I'm excited about today's topic um, because I got to nerd out on it like real bad in college when I was taking biochemistry because iron is super important in our body because it's in all of our blood. So, yeah. But, we already kind of, have encountered iron in, well, not directly, but our building structures, they tend to have like what they call iron girders that provide structural support for all the cement and stuff that you see on there and, all that. So for like skyscrapers and things like that, iron, the metal is very, very important. And we have iron in our body. Like it's so crazy like how versatile a metal can be. Like who knew? And I like the little iron in the picture. Like I think that's it almost looks like the little monopoly piece. But also our experiment for this week is the iron and fire foam experiment. So the fire foam experiment is actually done with I believe magnesium, and we've already talked about magnesium, but the other part of that experiment is a little iron kind of. Yeah, I know you've seen like the steel wool scrubbers. It kind of looks like that, but it's iron, and we'll be setting that on fire. So, what we'll be talking about today kind of goes into the science of why that experiment even works. So, first, um, yeah, I guess we could do that first. Will I emailed the video. It's only one video and one picture. The video for oxygen binding to iron in the blood. Like I always love watching this like little animation because it's I don't know. It's just cool to me to watch. And so I had to get the one because they had one where it was like a real simple kind of model with like the stick and ball method. And it was like, nah, you got to see the shape of it because our blood, each little individual blood cell is really just protein and iron. So they call them cells, but they're not really cells. They don't have a cell wall. They don't have. I mean, we're animals. We don't have cell. They don't have a cell membrane. They don't have a nucleus. They don't have all the other stuff floating around in the cell like our actual cells do. And oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, you can start it.
Red blood cells, also called erythrocytes, are the predominant cell type in the blood. They are responsible for transport of oxygen from the lungs to body's tissues and removal of carbon dioxide in the reverse direction. Erythrocytes lack most of typical cell structures. They have no nucleus and almost no organelles. This means they cannot regenerate, cannot synthesize new proteins, and cannot use the oxygen they are carrying. Erythrocytes are shaped almost like a donut with biconcave surfaces. This unique shape increases the cell's surface area for efficient gas exchange, while also being flexible to change when needed. Red cells contain structural proteins, actin, and spectrin, which make them resilient but also elastic, like pieces of memory foam. This elasticity, together with the donut shape, enables the cells to bend and fold on themselves, to squeeze through narrow capillaries, then spring back to their original shape in larger vessels. The major component of red blood cells is a protein named hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is composed of 4 polypeptide chains, each of which is bound to a red pigment molecule called heme. Heme binds oxygen to a ferrous iron in its center. Thus, a molecule of hemoglobin can bind up to 4 molecules of oxygen. Binding of oxygen is a cooperative process. Binding at one site changes the protein conformation in a way that facilitates further binding at other sites. Formation of the hemoglobin-oxygen complex, known as oxyhemoglobin, is reversible depending on oxygen partial pressure. Oxygen binds in the lungs where its pressure is high and dissociates in tissues where its pressure is low. While hemoglobin is responsible for transport of most of the oxygen, it only carries a small portion of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide binds to the polypeptide part of hemoglobin and not the heme, but its binding changes the conformation of the molecule and decreases its affinity for oxygen. In other words, the two gases compete for binding on hemoglobin. Oxygen binding is favored in the lungs, while carbon dioxide binding is more favorable in tissues. The majority of carbon dioxide is transported in the blood in the form of bicarbonate ions. Conversion of carbon dioxide to carbonic acid, which dissociates into bicarbonate and hydrogen ions, is catalyzed by an enzyme present in red blood cells called carbonic anhydrase. Bicarbonate ions then diffuse out to the plasma to be exchanged for chloride ions, while hydrogen ions bind to hemoglobin that has released oxygen. When red blood cells reach the lungs, the reverse happens. High oxygen pressure favors its binding to hemoglobin, which releases hydrogen ions and carbon dioxide. The same carbonic anhydrase then converts bicarbonate and hydrogen ions back to carbon dioxide to be breathed out.
So I know that was a mindful right there. But what did you think about it, Jate?
So that was super cool. So I'm like, wait, I'm like, I heard of the word hemoglobin before. I've
And
heard that a
that's
lot.
where it comes from.
And
So
this is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, so the heme is the actual structure within those protein structures that they were showing that has the iron, and it has some other things attached to it that makes it able to attach to itself to the proteins in that structure. And so the globin is the protein, what you saw with all the little squiggly stuff, that's the protein. So the hemoglobin is those two structures put together.
And so, like, it's funny because, like, I'm just walking around, I'm just living my life. And so it's interesting to hear exactly what is going on in my body. Like, that I don't, like, like, I'm just like living, my blood just doing its job,
Right.
all this stuff. And so I'm not, but to see it's like, wow, like, that's cool.
This is how nerdy I am. So I'm like laying in bed. This is like bedtime now, and I'm just watching YouTube videos. So I'm watching this other guy like take his blood and put it under a microscope and use different microscope settings to look at what his blood does, like in different settings. So like he added a salt solution to it, and he showed the cells like basically shrivel up, and then he added a water solution and watched them like fill up and explode. So yeah, I watched that and I enjoyed it.
Oh, okay.
I know, right?
Okay.
But
Yeah,
that's
because
what
I would have
happens in
been
your
like,
body.
ooh. And so, like, so right, it's cool. So, like, when you say like he added salt, so it's like literally what happens when like I eat fries or whatever.
Exactly. And that's why having high salt content foods aren't the high sodium and stuff like that isn't the best idea, especially if you're not properly hydrated to begin with, which a ton of people aren't. So and then not drinking enough water on the back end of that can cause several different issues, including like reduced cognitive function, memory, and things like that, because your iron, also your blood, is very integral in things like that, and also your energy level. So you can end up getting fatigued from being too salty.
So it's interesting, real quick. So I like 2 or 3 years ago, I found that I was anemic. So I'm not gonna lie. So they give me the iron pills, and I take them for a good minute, and then I haven't taken them. I don't know when. Like 2 months ago, I'm not gonna lie. Like everything's COVID now, right? So I was having these spells. Like I had a temperature of like 102. I literally kept feeling like I was gonna pass out. I was dizzy. I was super tired. So like, oh my gosh, I go get a COVID test. So after I got the rapid, so the lady's like, you can come into the minute clinic because you got a negative. So she's like, literally, she was like, "Are you anemic?" That's the first question she asked. I was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Well, that's what's going on with you." And I was like, "That's what got me feeling like I'm like, and I couldn't breathe. Like I had shortness of breath. So again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I caught COVID from somewhere. And I said, well, why is it affecting my breathing? So then she explained to me about oxygen and my blood. I was like, I never knew they were associated. I never knew. Girl, when I say I flew to aisle, whatever, and got me some rapid iron release pills so quick, I said, oh, I'll never play with this again, ever.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. See, this is why I love having my co-host panel here, because boom, that's what I was about to talk about next. Anemia. So there are different forms of anemia and different causes of it. So we know that the most severe form of anemia is sickle cell anemia. Like that is an extremely painful and life-threatening condition to have. And they still haven't quite found a cure for it, but people who have the trait also are kind of pretty much immune to malaria. So that's an interesting thing. So not necessarily people with full sickle cell, because you have an issue with living at that point. So you definitely trying to avoid illnesses like malaria. But people who are pretty much normal and wouldn't necessarily know, like, because a trait is a DNA thing, so you have it encoded in your DNA, but it's not you don't have both of the genes to make it express, so you're not fully anemic or sickle cell anemic. And basically what that is the way the proteins form. So you saw how they were nice and round and full, and it made it where the blood cell was round. What they end up doing is there's a defect in the gene that makes the protein, the globulin protein, and so they come out in like a weird shape. And so when they form together, they end up making the blood in like this sickle shaped thing, instead of having this the ring shape with the little hole in the middle, like a donut. And so the reason why our blood is shaped that way is so that it can travel through our blood vessels, and even more importantly through our capillaries. Our capillaries are extremely narrow. They're very, very small. And once the sickle cell shaped blood cells get into those tiny capillaries, they end up like catching and scratching on the walls of the capillaries, and it can be extremely painful, especially when you notice where capillaries are in the body. They're mostly like in the limbs, and yeah, so you'll experience a lot of limb joint pain, and it's extremely painful. Hey, Selena. And so that's why it's a on top of it not binding oxygen too well. So that's why it's an extremely life-threatening condition to have. Yeah. And so you have the other form of anemia where your blood iron levels are low. So or your blood is low. So you could have heavy periods that could cause it. So women who have extreme, and I mean like extremely heavy, like if you're going through more than 6 changes a day and you're soaking through pads, or you have to wear a pad and a tampon and it's still not quite getting it. If you have to get up in the middle of the night to change yourself, otherwise it's going to be a big mess. That means your period is very, very heavy, and there's other things that you should definitely be talking to your doctor about, because that's not normal. So if you're bleeding to the point of anemia, you should be talking to your gynecologist, and they should be helping you get something under control with that, because it's not normal. And I also found that eating too much red meat could make that could make your body end up bleeding a lot more. But ta-da, that's also the solution too. If you are a heavy bleeder, then you would need to intake some red meat to help with your body to reproduce more blood. Otherwise, you'll experience anemia symptoms like extreme fatigue. So not like, oh, I'm a little tired. Like, no, where it's like you have to drag yourself through everything to everything, and you can like doze off anywhere, like you're just kind of practically on the verge of like narcolepsy, or you just fall asleep out of nowhere. Like, that's extreme fatigue. Weakness, pale skin, oh yeah. Chest pain, fast heartbeat, or shortness of breath. As Jate was saying, your body does that because it's trying to get more oxygen in, because you don't have enough iron to bind oxygen in a comfortable way, so that you don't have to breathe so fast, and your heart doesn't have to work so hard. Cold hands and feet. Your body is going to conserve the little bit of blood it does have, so it's going to not pump as much blood to the capillaries that's in your hands and feet. So you'll end up getting having cold hands and feet, because your vital organs need the blood and the oxygen more than your fingers and toes do. Your body is very good at being objective and sacrificing limbs. Can't get one end of the bed to the scary week, especially during that time of the month. Yes, and that's how it feels. It feels like you've been pushing a boulder up a mountain your whole life. That's what extreme fatigue feels like. Headache, dizziness, or lightheadedness. When I was a kid, my anemia was really bad. It was really out of control, and I would pass out. Like, I'd be like, oh, I saw a roller coaster, and it was like, bloop. I'm waking up, people looking, are you okay? Like, I'm on the floor. Like that, like that's what it was. It's the anemia was so bad, is that, like, my brain isn't even getting enough oxygen. So that's what the lightheadedness and dizziness and stuff come from, is your blood isn't getting as much oxygen to your brain as it needs. So if you think, and I was a thinker. I've been a thinker my whole life. So I did a lot of thinking, and I was still pretty active. So on top of that, higher oxygen demands and not enough blood to do that. So yeah. Brittle nails, craving ice, dirt, or starch. When Mary said that she loves to eat ice, that's the first thing that came to mind, was she's probably anemic too.
Oh my gosh. So don't judge me. I'm for real, y'all, right? So I don't anymore. But not only did I used to, I'm talking about like big, like we have Wawa's here, and they got the big 32-ounce cups. I would eat, I don't know how many of those per day. And I also used to eat powder. Like, and I was a grown up. Like, I was a grown up, but it was just weird thing. Like, I literally legit ate powder. And I didn't understand why. She said me.
That's why and the thing with anemia is that if it's a genetic thing, so like you could it could be a situation where your body just doesn't absorb as much iron as like a normal person would. So we absorb our nutrients, most of our nutrients and minerals, through our small intestines. So diseases like celiac disease, which is the one where people have to avoid gluten, because it causes a ton of inflammation. So the inflammation ends up impairing your ability to absorb nutrients, and so you can end up anemic because of that. Different types of colon cancers and things like that, or like what they call them, polyps, or things that burst and end up bleeding, like all kinds of mess. So if you're chronically losing blood, so if it's like a slow loss of blood over an extended period of time, you can end up anemic. And like I said, the heavy periods, or just not ingesting enough iron. So if you're vegetarian or vegan, if you don't eat meat, you could run into this issue as well if you're not taking an iron supplement. And I believe, as far as I know, all the vegans that I know, they take an iron supplement because the heme iron, which is the ones that's found in animals, is more readily absorbed by our bodies than plant iron. And so if you're getting your iron from plant sources, then it's best to make sure you're eating it with complementary vitamins and things to help your body absorb them, like vitamin C. So if you have like your plate of vegetables and stuff like that, have some kiwi or an orange or grapefruit and things like that with it, or you can make your salad and have these type of fruits on there so that you're getting those two things together. Like even now, like I got my cashews. So yeah. Oh, you can show the list of foods that are high in iron. So cashews, one serving is a fourth of a cup, and that's 3.4 milligrams of iron. So that's 20% of a recommended daily value based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So cashews are a pretty decent source of non-heme iron. And then I have my little drink here. It's actually a collagen booster, but like all the other stuff that's in the little collagen booster pack has vitamin C in it. And guess what? It's 20% daily value. So this is a nice little iron boosting snack. And I have been feeling kind of starting to get kind of tired lately. And then now I'm fully vaccinated. Whoop, whoop. And my arm and my shoulder, my armpit, all of this stuff is like sore. Like I can feel my lymph nodes like going into overdrive, trying to understand what it's getting and make this little antibodies and stuff like that. So iron is super important in the function of your immune system as well. So I figure all of my extra discomfort in my lymph nodes, which is the source of my immune system, is due to me having low iron. Because like I said, as a kid, I found out I'm anemic. And the thing with being anemic is you don't ever quite stop being anemic. Your lifestyle and your diet just ends up supporting a healthier level of iron in your blood. So you don't have those symptoms. But if you let your focus on that slip, or you stop eating the meats and things like I did. I've cut back on meat a lot because of this hormone balancing program I'm doing. And I didn't realize, because I've gone so long without having these symptoms because I've been eating meat. and I kind of avoid things that would lower my iron, like tannins. So if you drink a lot of coffee or you drink a lot of tea, that can lower your iron. So I had stopped drinking a lot of coffee and tea, especially green tea. Green tea is super high in tannins. But you don't have to not drink these things. It's just the timing that you drink them. So if you're intaking iron, you want to either drink your coffee or your tea like 2 to 3 hours before or after, because otherwise it could interact with the iron and stop your body from absorbing it. What is that?
Well, that's good to know for me.
Exactly, yeah, because you're the coffee drinker.
And I drink green tea, because green tea is healthy for you. But now I know that there's a time that's beneficial to me.
Exactly. And that's the thing with a lot of like minerals and stuff, and especially when you're doing supplements and things. That's why it's important to be in communication with your doctor, especially if you have a primary care physician. Like, get as much of a good relationship with them as you possibly can, because they will have your most extensive health history and things like that, because they will see you for all the general stuff. And usually you would see them before you go and see a specialist. So if you have a primary care physician, they're usually the ones that refer you to specialists and things like that. And so if you're lacking something in your diet because of a lifestyle change, or you've moved to an area that is higher in certain types of toxins, air pollution, things like that, your body is going to adjust to it and react in a different way, because toxins, like, that's why they call it toxins. So they ruin a lot of the normal functioning of organs. It puts more stress on our liver and our kidneys, which are our natural detox systems. So if your diet is not supporting a healthy kidney and liver function, if it's not giving you all of the nutrients that you need in the amounts that you need, then you'll end up in a situation where you could be anemic. And also understanding that just because you have these symptoms that I listed, if you have these symptoms, you need to see your doctor, and you need to talk to them, because they're gonna be able to tell you exactly how much you're anemic. Because if you take a supplement and they haven't told you how much to take, or like the dosing to take, or they prescribe you something that has the dosage that you need, then you could end up taking in too much of whatever it is that you're trying to supplement, and you could cause other problems. So that's why it's important to talk to your doctor, so that they can tell you how much you need, so that you're not overdosing on these things, because it's bad. Like, especially with iron, it's really bad for your liver. So you could end up with liver damage on the back end of it if you overdo it. So that's why it's important to check in with your doctor. I can't say this enough. So yes, I want people to be empowered, and I want them to take more control over their health. But in doing that, you have to make sure that you're working with a healthcare professional that you trust, and that you can rely on to give you the information that you need, and that you know when you're in the driver's seat that you're asking the right questions, and that you follow what they prescribe. Okay, so the stopping taking them, Jate, if your doctor didn't tell you to stop, then you're not supposed to stop.
Yeah, listen, I'm not playing. When I tell you, I said never again. 'Cause that was scary.
Oh yeah.
And my biggest thing, like, I'm like, why? What is it? My breathing. That was my thing. I'm like, why am I having chest pains? Why can't I breathe? So I was like, oh no. So,
Yep.
so you don't worry about me at that again, cause.
And like, I don't know. I just love this topic because so give me a second. Gotta wash it down with my vitamin C's. So that is why having a well-rounded diet is important, because a lot of times, like, it's a ton of stuff we don't know about ourselves. So I've gotten my DNA sequenced, and it's still a lot of stuff I still don't know about what my body can do, what it's capable of, and even where it needs more support. Because I don't really call them like deficiencies or defects or anything like that. It's just a way for you to be more cognizant of that area that it needs more support. So me being anemic was one of those things that you kind of just had to, figure out from, running into those, challenges of, passing out, fatigue, and things like that. And so the more you understand your body, the more confident you can feel in it. And I've also noticed that when my iron is in the proper ranges, I feel like a more productive person. So I have a clearer head. My memory isn't so bad that I forget what I'm talking about in the middle of a sentence. It's not like I have to drag myself out of the bed. So all of those things are definitely things to note. And that's why if you're kind of just starting on this type of body conscious journey, I would absolutely suggest keeping a food journal, and not just logging what you eat and the calories and stuff like that, but log the meals, like what was in the meal. So if you make a salad, say all of the ingredients you put in your salad. If you use sweet peppers, I usually get like the multicolored, the red, yellow, orange ones, and I put some, sweet peppers in it. And I like mushrooms sometimes, or I'll put I definitely love my spinach and arugula, or like a spring mix, and spinach is a good source of iron too. So that's all, like, and it was crazy because like when you think about what your body craves and what you really enjoy eating, that's usually an indication of what your body needs. So as a kid, I watched Popeye. I love Popeye. And I loved like his little thing when he would like crack can of spinach open and eat it and get strong. Like, and so I wanted to be strong. So I ate my spinach, but it tasted so good to me. I love spinach and eggs. I don't know if people, it's a lot of people that don't know about that, like spinach and scrambled eggs. Oh, it's delicious. And yeah, exactly. Yes. What was you gonna say, Jate?
No, I love spinach. It's so funny because that you say whatever your body is craving is what you need. I lie to you not. For the last couple of days, I've been thinking about spinach, and even down to like I swear I had some in the freezer because I got the steamed fresh bags like 4 days ago, and I only had broccoli, so I had kind of settled. But I just got me some today, so that's funny that you say that. But not, I ain't never tried it in no eggs.
Oh yeah, you gotta scramble some egg, and it's eggs in the spinach, not spinach in the eggs, because that's a different ratio. So you make your spinach, like you can saute it or you can, however you cook it down, and then you scramble like some, one egg is usually more than enough for a serving, and then you scramble one egg up and break it up and then mix it in with the spinach.
I have to try.
And eggs. Oh, go ahead.
So, question.
Mhm.
So, does kale taste similar to spinach? Because I keep
No.
hearing people talk about. Okay,
Not at all. The taste is closer to collard greens. The texture is it depends on what type of kale you get, but like most of the kale is the really curly, fluffy kale, and it has a much more I guess like stronger structure, so it doesn't cook down as limp as spinach does. Like spinach, you can breathe on it too long and it'll wilt. Kale isn't like that. But collard greens are actually higher in a lot of different nutrients than kale and spinach. So that's why it's good to have a variety of things, because each thing has their own, they're kind of like their own star of the show. So they're unique, and we kind of end up lumping them together because of, in general, they're a plant. The green leafy vegetables, like they call them green, but they all have varying levels of nutrients in them, and so that's why it's important. That's why the mixes and things are getting a lot more popular. The spring mixes, the baby greens, and all that stuff, and even the microgreens have a different set of nutrients in them. So eat. That's why I say eat colorful. So eat from all the color groups of vegetables. The ones that are orange, yellow, and red are higher in vitamin C. So your carrots, oranges, your citrus fruit, and also what else? The bell peppers and the sweet peppers I mentioned earlier, the yellow and orange and red ones, high in vitamin C. And the color, like I said, the colors of things tell you what to expect from that vegetable, or fruit. So the darker color, the dark purples and the deep reds and things like that are really high in antioxidants, and they tend to be high in rarer or even like, and this is the thing with plants. So plants are amazing, and they very easily form hybrids. So like if one type of plant that's in like a similar group is growing next to another type of plant, you can end up making a plant hybrid just by growing them next to each other, and their fruits would end up being being a hybrid of those two plants. So plants don't really operate on the same rules as animals do. Like animals and stuff, only species, that's where the word species came from. Only species can come to, in the same species can come together and even produce offspring. And then depending on the type of genetic mix and things, the offspring may be sterile. Like a donkey is sterile. You can't mate a donkey and a donkey and get a donkey because they're sterile. So you have to Yeah. So that's why donkeys were really valuable, because you can only get them from, I believe it's like a horse and a pony or something like that, because uh ponies aren't baby horses, right? I don't know.
But
I always got mixed up with that, but yeah.
what are they? I thought they were.
No, it's like a different, it's a different type. Like they don't get as big as horses. So a
Oh,
pony is a fully grown animal.
what?
Yes.
Child.
Yeah. So when you mate a pony and a horse, because I mean, they technically they are the same. There are a horse, otherwise they wouldn't be able to interbreed. But they're not, because the offspring is sterile. So that's how you know when two things are incompatible, they would be sterile. That's why I kind of look at people, with they little weird, racism and stuff like that, and I'm like, if that was the case, we wouldn't have mixed children making more mixed children. So it's not really mixed, because we're the same. Otherwise, everybody born outside of different races would be sterile, and that's not the case. So, yeah, people need to get a little bit more biology in they brain, and then clear out some more of that trash. But yeah, so plants are unique in that fact that you can interbreed two different types of species. Like you can have like a tomato and probably like a kiwi or something. Like that's where all of these like flavor fruits and stuff are coming, where they have like these different types of flavors. They usually just, and this doesn't have to be like a genetic modification, like where they're in a lab doing it. But I mean, it's technically still a genetic modification. That's why I don't know. I kind of get caught up in that little thought process of all of that, because it's the science of the genetic modifications and things like that. Like they don't take like I don't know, like zebra DNA and put it in plants. Like that's not gonna happen. So most of the plant genetic modifications that are done in labs are to protect it from environmental shortcomings, because we're ruining the planet, like seriously, like we seriously are. And a lot of the things that we eat aren't faring too well, and we're having larger and larger populations to feed. So that means that what we grow, we need it to grow abundantly and to fruition, like to harvest. So they will splice in DNA to make plants less desirable to bugs. So you don't need pesticides and things, or even subbing in DNA that prevents weeds from growing. So now you don't need herbicides that could potentially harm the crop that you're trying to protect, as well as the people who are eating it. So I absolutely believe there's a place for genetic modification, especially in our increasingly industrial society, and our increasingly taxing on the environment, and the global warming. Like it's a ton of things that affect how well plants grow. And even in certain regions, like with the temperature changes, things that were normally grown there can't grow there anymore because of the temperature change, and growing seasons getting shorter, or some certain growing seasons getting longer. So now it's kind of more monetarily beneficial to grow one thing over something else, and that something else might be the thing that we still need for our general nutrition. So I believe it's definitely a place. It's just people kind of fear the unknown of how these genetic modifications could affect us down the line, because the biggest argument against it is like, it's a whole bunch of stuff that we came up with that we find out 30-40 years later is actually was harming us and things like that. But I have faith in plants are amazing. And the fact that they can do things like nitrogen fixing. So nitrogen is in the air. It's in the air, and we can't absorb nitrogen into our body and actually use it just from breathing it. Like we have to eat it, and we can't do that without plants. So the fact that they're that amazing, I'm pretty sure a little genetic modification isn't going to stop their superpowers from saving us. And that being said, um, just being exploratory with your food choices. So what I'm the diet that I'm kind of on, or like the goal of what I'm doing with the hormone balancing program that I'm doing, is to actually kind of get more like back to more of like the natural things. So not eating genetically modified things with pesticides. So like strictly organic foods and things like that, basically to just give your body a rest from all of the things it has to protect you from. And when you do that, you allow it to kind of, reboot, restart, and get more out of what you do. So I'm already kind of feeling like a whole new person. Like I'm going crazy in my kung fu classes. Like I think I pretty much gone like almost every day last week. And I felt good. Like, and even on Monday, the last time I got my COVID shot, I was tired. I was done for the day. But this time, this past Monday, I was fine. We went grocery shopping. I did some cooking. I played with baby girl, and then I went to kung fu class and beasted. Like I felt great. So just knowing that the better you take care of your body, the less you have to worry about other stuff that's trying to attack you. So even with the vaccine, like there's side effects and things. The first one, I didn't really have any side effects like outside of like the sore arm, like how I have now, and some fatigue. And I'm kind of feeling that now because it's still fresh, but it's only like they say it only lasts about like 2 days or so. So I'm feeling pretty good. But my mom had like almost all of the symptoms, but she also doesn't have teeth, so she doesn't eat as many vegetables as I do. And she has, she has to take a lot of supplements to supplement the stuff that she can't, eat in its natural form. But the thing with supplements is that they don't give you all of the things that are in plants, because we don't know a lot about plants. Like we don't know a lot about anything. And like the science community, the medical community, they don't shout that from the highest mountain. They're not going to tell you, oh, we don't really know, but we can give you an educated guess. Like a lot of the stuff is just an educated guess based on some type of controlled experiment. Now, mind you, in controlled experiments, especially dealing with food, it's not really controlled because you can't force people to eat stuff and you can't stop people from eating certain things. So you can't really say that the effect of this thing is absolutely because of this, because you can't control it in such a way that you can rule out all variables and make it where you can definitely say this is that. And then also, every person is different. Our genetics make sure of that. So one thing that could help somebody else could potentially harm someone just based on the difference in their genetics.
Right, right. And so it's so funny. My mind is just like so unique. Why, when I'm listening to you like talk about the planet and all this, why did the old school? Do you remember Captain Planet, the cartoon?
Yes, that was my jam.
Why did that pop in my head?
Yes, because and that's crazy, because that's almost like 20 or 30 years ago, and we're still doing all of the stuff that he was saying stop doing. Like literally, and probably even in at higher rates. So it's crazy. And then now, because back then global warming was more of a hypothesis than it was a reality. Now it's a reality. Things are melting and it's causing problems, and water levels are rising at alarming rates. Cities are basically being drowned out, and especially in Europe, like France and stuff, is slowly sinking. Places in, I believe, like Mexico and South America are slowly, like, the water levels are getting higher and higher there. So it's a problem. Like it's an actual problem. And people, like not necessarily all people, but more importantly, politicians and companies were avid opposition to the theory when it was a theory, or the hypothesis of global warming. They were extremely against it, because that means that they would have to stop making money the way that they were making money to save the planet, and they definitely didn't want to do that. And so now it's a problem. It's everybody's problem now. not just the people, in those areas that were largely affected by those factories and the pollution and the dumping and things like that. Now it's a worldwide issue, and it's a problem that everybody needs to have a hand in fixing. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, people get their act together before we all sink and have to grow gills to live to live on Earth.
God, we rebuke it in Jesus' name.
But that's why I love like sci-fi movies and stuff like that, because they take these type of scientific hypotheses and kind of flesh them out, and then also pair them with our cultural and societal issues, and kind of overlap things to say like, well, what if this actually was true? What would that world look like? And so I love that type of expanded thinking and creativity that goes along with that, and it creates a space to problem solve, to actually solve the problem, as opposed to just saying, oh, there's a problem, it's getting bigger. Like now, because you're thinking in an unorthodox way, you might find a practical solution, and it sounds kind of counterproductive or backwards, but that's exactly where creativity and innovation comes in. So innovation is the changing, the forward progress of things. So yeah, we can't undo global warming, at least not in our lifetimes, but we can definitely put structures and policies in place to support the reversal of a lot of the damage that we've done over the past couple hundred. And this is not even in like a lot of time, so it's like maybe 100 or 200 years. So the Earth has been here a couple billion years. And we've been technologically advanced for like maybe 100 and some, if that, like, to the point to where we're like polluting the environment. So maybe I say like 100 years. So between the Industrial Revolution and now, we haven't taken that long to undo what billions of years have put together. So that should be kind of like a eye opener for what it is that we're actually doing here, and being mindful of how we can add to, not subtract from. Okay. And so that's basically I don't know, we got way up, but I figured that was going to happen. That's why I didn't have a whole lot to talk about, because I'm like, we're going to end up getting way off the subject, because this is going to just open up too many cans of worms. and I dissected a worm before too. That was interesting. They're full of dirt.
Oh my! I think I remember doing a frog. A worm. Like yikes.
Yeah, we did the worm first, because the worm has like one of the most simple systems. It has a heart, and it's got like a tube. And essentially that's kind of it, because it doesn't have lungs and stuff. So the slime that's on the outside of the worm is actually how it helps it move through the dirt and things like that. And then that's also how it exchanges oxygen and things with the environment. So it doesn't actually have lungs, and it eats the dirt to get all of the other nutrients that it needs, and it also processes the dirt. So worms are extremely important to fertile soil. So they help break down things. They help with the compost. So like when leaves off the trees fall on the ground and it rains, the worms will come up, and then as they go back down, they end up stirring the soil, so it aerates the soil so that it's not packed down, and it allows things. So they're like, everything is so important. Like even the little teeny tiny bugs that you see in the soil, they do their own thing. They keep the pH levels balanced by eating certain molds and fungus that might grow and could overgrow and sap up nutrients and things out of the soil. So every ecosystem, that's why it's called an ecosystem. I loved environmental science too. It was fun. Took that in high school. But yes, you should definitely get curious and look into stuff and find out how it fits into your life and how you fit into its life, because just removing one thing from an ecosystem could potentially destroy it. And those are called cornerstone species. So like the elk, like deer. That's why they have deer hunting seasons and things like that, because if you hunt off season, or if you kill a doe like that, I believe like killing a doe, no matter what season it is bad. But if you hunt out of season, there's penalties and things for that, because deer are cornerstone species, because the entire ecosystem of wherever they live depends on them. So what they eat, what they poop out, what they leave behind when they die, the antlers that fall off their head, the teardrops that fall, like literally everything that the deer brings to that ecosystem, something lives off of it. Something needs something from the deer in order to flourish and proliferate, or they keep certain things in check as well. The footprints that they leave behind, like literally, that's how important a cornerstone species is to an ecosystem.
Jeez, like just their footprint? That's interesting.
Yeah, but when you think about that, it's like if you think of humans as a cornerstone species, but in the opposite, but we're operating in the opposite way. Like we're destroying ecosystems instead of building them and helping them flourish. And because we're a conscious being and we have, choice and foresight and all of that stuff, and we can, commune with the divine, like we are in a very cornerstone position, hence the God gave man dominion over the earth. Like we are the cornerstone species of the earth, and we're slacking at our job like so tremendously, and it's kind of embarrassing on the whole. But yep, come on.
Real quick, because it's just crazy because we can't see messages that people are posting outside, I guess, the main group. But I did want to shout out to Miss Brenda Dumas, who is saying, yes, she loves to see worms when she tills the soil for her gardening, and very good nutrients for the soil. Thanks, Miss Brenda.
Thank you. And yeah, that's why I've even started my own, like I'm in an apartment and I'm on the balcony with a garden, and even like when you pour your dirt and stuff in there, like there's no bugs or nothing in it, but I look up and stuff is growing, and now there's bugs in the dirt. So when you do things that add to, things are added to that, to improve life, to improve where you are. Like, so the more that we learn about our environment and also how we interact with it, how we affect it either in a positive or a negative way, then we can learn how to do more of the positive things that affect it and less of the negative things that affect it, and restore balance. Because right now things are extremely out of balance, and the earth is going to do whatever it needs to restore that balance, because it's here. it's here, and it's been here, and it doesn't have to stay here either. So we can't be here if it's not here. So that's kind of the connection that you would think. Also about the deer. Yeah, it's crazy how important they are, and even just understanding that even the smallest of changes can completely upset a balance. And once things are out of balance, sometimes it's harder to bring things back into balance than it is to imbalance things. And so just understanding that we have full power and control over how those things play out, it's not meant to be a burden, but more so a call to accountability and being responsible for our place in this world. And that's what I hope to accomplish here, with you all, and ranting and rambling about my favorite science topics and such. So that's pretty much the end of my save the environment rant. But it's a beautiful feeling when you can understand that you can create things with your very own hands that can change and even save the world. So that's why I love Bill Nye, because he leveled up. So now it's not Bill Nye the Science Guy, it's Bill Nye Saves the World. So he's working on things to connect scientists and disseminate information to the general public and get people more involved in science, get more involved in how our world is being shaped and changed, and how it's growing and or not growing. So just knowing that our very presence here creates changes and shifts, and now a lot of like wild species and things like that are starting to become more dependent on human lifestyles. Like I don't know if I don't know how many people like have what cities y'all live in, but like especially like New York and Chicago, if you notice, there are seagulls not near water. So the fact that seagulls don't even, just hang out on beaches and things anymore is a signal as to how we're affecting the environment. Like they hang around restaurants and things now with the other vermin, with rats and, pigeons and things that we associate with dirt and filth. But these are seagulls. Like, what are y'all doing? Don't y'all eat fish? Yeah, they eat food. And we have an overabundance of it. But if you think about the food, especially, if you think about the food that are coming out of these restaurants and what it's doing to us, you can imagine what it's doing to these animals, these birds and things, and that are normally wild, normally eating fish, normally somewhere else, that are now their diets are including more and more of the things that are killing us. So imagine what we're doing to other ecosystems that are starting to weave into our, Western civilization, our, fast food revolution type, So now it's not just a health problem for us, it's a health problem for animals. So we're destroying their habitat. We're destroying their natural food sources, and then the food sources that are being replaced in their natural space is stuff that's going to kill them, because it's killing us, and they're smaller, so it's going to kill them much faster. So I mean, we don't do like experiment, like that would be a good experiment to do. I don't know if y'all environmental people listening, or the animal people, the EPA and all of that, y'all should go and follow some animals, get some seagulls, track them, and track their heart, their their cholesterol and stuff like that, the ones that hang around in cities eating stuff, and then find out if these animals are getting the same diseases that we're getting. And if they not, find out why, because we might need some of whatever they're doing. Hey, Marley King. Oh yeah, because RockTrue Beats is coming. Oh, that's my jam. I love that show. I love it, and it's a nice little cascade, from science to science, because it's like they end up talking about all science over there. I'm just like, I thought we was talking about music. But I love it. And it all like ties in so seamlessly and all of that, because even so tuning forks, kind of to prep y'all for the RockTrue beats. Tuning forks were originally made of things like iron. I believe there were copper ones too, but iron is extremely important because our Earth's core is made of iron. So the magnetism of the Earth is due to its iron core. And so a tuning fork was designed to tune to the Earth's core. So that's also where the 432 hertz comes into play, because that is the base tuning frequency, because that's the frequency that resonates with the Earth. And so and so the difference in size of the tuning fork, all it does is just change the frequency, but it's in the same multiples of that 432. So it might be a shorter frequency. So it might be 216 hertz or 108, whatever the halves are. I don't know. I did the math real quick. It might not be right. Don't judge me. Or it might be, twice that, the 864, or, the 1620, whatever, 48. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah. So that's how the iron and tuning forks, work, is that the density of the iron, when you strike it, it actually tunes to the magnetic frequency of the earth, which generates the ongoing frequency of the iron, depending on, the density, how much it, the size and all of that. Yes, thank you. 180, 360, 540. So when you think about like the versatility of iron. Oh, and also another source of like getting iron into your body, using cast iron skillets. So cast iron skillets got so like, boom, they got super popular because they made stuff taste good. But you don't understand that things taste good is because it has stuff in it that you need. So you end up infusing your food with iron from the cast iron skillet, especially like with sauces. So things that are acidic, like with tomatoes. So if you make tomato sauces and things in it, it actually pulls the iron out of the skillet a little bit more, and you can actually add iron to your diet that way. So if you are like vegan, vegetarian, and things like that, and you're not eating meat sources of iron, you can, there's a couple of different ways. So like, you have your supplements, food. So the amount that's in food and the amount that you would get from eating out of a cast iron skillet is nothing close to what you would need if you're anemic to actually, get the amount of iron into your body. If and it also depends on, like I said, the type of anemia that you have. But it's definitely a good way to keep, if you already have iron levels in a good range, to keep them within a good range. So, yes.
Yo, I promise you, when I tell you, you about to have me out here talking like a genius. I'm like, so did y'all know that the food tastes better? Listen, I'm not even joking. I am
No,
not
seriously, like, and that's the thing. And so this is why, okay, so now I'm finna get on my quick fast food, fake food rant. So these processed foods with all these chemicals and things in it are designed to be addictive. So they're designed to trick your brain into thinking that it needs it, because your brain is telling your body, hey, we need this nutrient. And so what it does, it ends up mimicking those nutrients, but it's not those nutrients. So that's why, processed foods and things like that are, really getting the bad rep that they deserve now, because they're making it where your body is not getting the nutrition that it needs, because you eat it and it tastes better than the things that your body actually needs. So that's why we detox. So when you hear that word detox kind of thrown, it's like everywhere now. But actual detoxing is when you go and you remove a specific toxin from your body. So there's heavy metals and stuff like cadmium, mercury, and things like that we understand. So when you detox, that's what detoxing should be targeting. So if they have like a drink or something, like drink this and it'll detox your body, but if it doesn't have any of the stuff in it that actually removes heavy metals, and it's not detoxing you, it's probably just making you pee a lot. So you have to be mindful of not just what it is you're putting in your body, but also why you're putting it in your body. So if you can't think like, oh yeah, this is going to give me this, then don't eat it. This is going to help my body do this, don't eat it. And the best way to detox your body is to take good care of your kidneys and your liver. There is nothing outside of your body that will detox your body better than your kidneys and your liver. I don't care who made it, what lab they didn't put it together in. And I represent a company that sells nutritional supplements, and they don't tell you that they finna detox a thing, because that's not a thing. That's not scientifically backed. It's not even logically backed. Your body is the only thing that can detox your body. So drinking more water, eating more fresh fruits and vegetables. If you can get them organic, it's better to get them organic, because they're not covered in pesticides and all types of whatever, and they even put wax on it to make it last longer or look prettier in the store. Like I get a lot of my produce and stuff from a company called Imperfect Foods, because they'll tend to have vegetables and fruit and stuff that might look weird because they grew kind of funny or whatever. It might be a carrot with two or three other carrots sticking off of it, or whatever, a oddly colored tomato or something like that. So things that aren't visually appealing that make people want to buy it in the stores, they tend to get that type of stuff and sell it to people who don't care what it looked like as long as it's nutritious. And that's kind of what we need to get out of this. Oh, it needs to look a certain way. It got to look. What is it doing for your body? That's what you should be asking anytime you put your fork to your mouth. What is this doing for my body? It makes you more of a conscious eater. And then also, like I said, tracking your food in a food diary will make you more conscious of what you're eating and also how it's affecting your body. If you notice, oh, I have a headache every time I eat this, then you'll stop eating that because you notice the connection. But if you don't, then you don't know what's causing your headache. Yes, water, fresh vegetables, organic. Yes. And it's not even necessarily that, like I said, with the GMOs and things that they're necessarily bad. It's mostly just that people don't know how they're going to affect them. So that's, if you're not sure, then by all means, just buy organic and grow your own. You can't get more organic than your own. So that's the end of my my fast food rant for today. Don't worry, we'll cycle back to that several times because the more I say it, the more y'all gonna get it in y'all head, and we need to start seeing McDonald's closing and going out of business, and that number of 5 billion burgers sold. We need to see them numbers stagnating, dropping off, and all of that, because they're not serving real food. I call it mystery meat, because you don't know what's in that. You don't know what they didn't put together in the meat, and all, you don't even know what cows they get in the meat from and all it. Like, So if you are going to continue to eat meat, get it from ethically sourced farming, farmers, people that treat the animals, nice, with respect, feed them actual food. Grass-fed beef is the best beef I have ever tasted in my life. You can chew the grass with them. That's how it tastes. You can taste the grass they ate. It's like walking up to a cow in a field and taking a bite out of the that's what it felt like to me when I bit into that burger the first time. So like grass-fed beef is I can't not do that anymore. And basically everything now they're getting better with how they're treating animals, and they do have grass-fed, no hormone options. So you have to look for it. And yes, it does cost more, but trust me, how much is your life worth? And then how much are you willing to value the animal that gave their life for you to eat it? So that's what, why, a lot of stuff is just, way out of whack. Because even with like, people, I guess people are more aware of the Native Americans doing that, but they were very in tune with nature. They were in tune with what they ate. They were in tune with the animals, and they thanked them for giving their life for their nourishment. That's why we bless our food. We don't just pray over it so that it doesn't kill us. We pray over it to thank all things that were involved in bringing that food to our plate for us to put into our body to nourish it. Like that means a lot. And like they said in RockTrue Beats, the words, what he say, what words, where you at, Marley King? Because he says it all the time, and I'm having a brain fart right now. But words have power to them. So when you bless your food before you eat it, you're adding like an extra sprinkle of spiritual nutrition on top of it. So bless your food. Thank the earth for bringing these vegetables and the nutrients up out of it for you to put into your body. Thank the animals that had to give their lives for you to have your burger. All right. If you eating your chicken wings, thank the chicken for eating all the whatever it needed to eat to taste this good and all of that. Like seriously. And you'll have a whole different relationship with food. And then you'll notice that I don't care how much you bless a McDonald's meal, it's not ever going to taste as good as something that's ethically sourced, grass-fed, no hormones, like just loved from the ground up, loved through, and even like the kosher butchering and things like that. Like they they cut the meat in a certain way, and they even slaughter the animals in a certain way that's humane. So if you are confused about how to, kind of start that change in your diet, look for kosher meats. That's usually like, kind of like a bar none standard, because they don't use any of that stuff, the hormones and all that stuff, and they do ethically kill the animals. It's and they and I don't know, it tastes good to me. Like their meats and stuff, you can taste the quality in them. So that's just my little, tidbit on top of there for that, as to, how to get away from supporting this culture of imbalance, because that's what the world is in right now. It's in a major state of imbalance, and the storms and hurricanes, wildfires, and all of that stuff are symptoms of a root cause problem, which is us. Yes, we are the virus on this planet, and we are ruining everything for no reason. No reason at all. It's not helping anybody. It's not helping us. It's definitely not helping the environment. So, we have to not be seated in our ignorance of what we're doing, and, really take that effort to educate ourselves and each other, and, make those steps to bring things back into balance. Like, you start within yourself. Once you find balance within yourself, then you realize what your contribution to that imbalance is, and you can rectify that and help others, do the same. So I don't know. That being said, good show, great show. Thank you, Ms. Dumas, for
No,
tuning in, and the Twitch.
thank you, because when you said, like, we should become more curious just about the environment by ourselves, literally that's what this show is causing me to do. Like I said, like, I wasn't thinking about my blood before I got on here. I'm not gonna lie, like, I ate McDonald's like yesterday, 2 days ago. But it's just cool because, and okay, the thing about the worms, the thing about the deers, you about to have me like thinking on a whole nother level, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I thank God for my food. I'm not gonna lie, I have never ever thought to like thank animal. So
I mean,
like,
when somebody gives you something, you don't thank God. Thank you, God. You thank them. When they give you a stick of gum, thank you. You don't thank God for the stick of gum that they gave you. Like, when you thank the thing directly, you are thanking God. God's in all of that. So it's the same thing. But when you focus on the thing in front of you, it brings you back into the present. It makes you aware of what's going on right now, right here in front of you, and also what's going on inside right now, right here. So that's what that's about. It's not necessarily about, turning your direction or anything from God. If you're thinking, nature, he created nature. So it's the same thing. Trust me, God ain't vain like that, where you gotta thank you, God's plant. Like, God already know that's his plant. That's a us thing. We're the ones with the egos. So, this is about nourishing your ego with gratitude for the things that you have to rely on. So, yeah, it's balance. RockTrue balance. Yeah. How many platforms are you on? She said it from all. And on her regular, she not even on she on her other page and her YouTube. Okay, Mary. So I love doing this show. I really do, because I really get to I guess fortify my own understanding of the material that I'm sharing with y'all, and renew my focus on these different things, and kind of take this journey along with y'all. So don't think that I'm just up here disseminating information. It's just like, here and go forth and be great. Like, no, I'm right along with y'all. We are doing this together. So yeah, I didn't even think about like why I love cashews so much, because they're a great source of iron. Like, I've always loved cashews, especially as a kid. couldn't get enough of them, and boom, that's why. Spinach, that's why. So and then even with like, oranges, I used to love oranges. I was slightly allergic to citrus fruit though, which I think might have been what triggered my anemia. So I wasn't getting a whole lot of vitamin C, and we didn't eat like a ton of different types of vegetables and things that would have the vitamin C in it. So who knew that would be the reason why, I ended up, really finding out that I was anemic. And like I said, once you get, you don't stop being anemic. You just have to make sure that you're getting the iron that you need so that you don't, fall prey to the symptoms of it.
So, quick question, because my son is allergic to citrus fruit. So, what can we do so that he's still getting vitamin C? He takes a vitamin every day. But what's like a good alternative?
Bring the list back up, because those, is that it? Oh no, or did I hear? Because I think I looked up a list that had like vitamin C, but like for the most part, so vitamin C is not just found in citrus fruits like oranges and stuff. You get it in kiwi. Kiwi has a really nice source of it. Carrots. What else? Broccoli, cauliflower. So the cruciferous vegetables, great source of vitamin C. Because vitamin C is ascorbic acid, so it's not citric acid. But yeah, so just, you can, like I said, you can even Google it. Like, I love healthline.com. They have like a lot of great useful information that is either, all the articles are either written by doctors or someone who specializes in the topic or field of whatever they're writing about, or it's been reviewed by someone who specializes in that topic, and then they cite the sources in the article, not at the bottom like, oh, you can check the bottom. Like, no, you can click the links in the article and it'll take you directly to the source so that you can see that they are using science-based information, and they give you both sides of it. They say the stuff that are anecdotal evidence based on or science-based evidence. So they do define the difference and they give both. So it's not like, oh, this isn't based in science, so we're not sharing it. No, they tell you all the stuff, because a lot, like I said, it's a lot that science doesn't know, especially about plants. So when they try and mimic things in the lab or with, like I said, supplements, it tends to be things that are naturally occurring in plants that help you absorb all of the other nutrients in the plant. So a whole plant is a much better source of any type of nutrient than a supplement. That's why it's a supplement. It's supposed to supplement your diet, what you are eating as food, not be the replacement for something else. So I'm glad that you asked that question, because that's super important to know, that you should be getting your nutrients from your food, and then your supplement should be doing just that, supplementing, because we go through different stages in life. Your body changes, you're stressed at different times, it's different things that your body goes through, not all the time, that you may require a supplement to kind of offset the effects of for some amount of time, but it's not, it shouldn't be your main source of the thing. But yeah, kiwi, carrots, broccoli. What else? I believe kale and the spinach. Yeah.
Well, pray for us, because he's 13, and girl, when I say he don't eat none of those things that you just mentioned, now he will drink some kiwi juice.
Hey, wrap it in cheese and call it a day. That's how I got all my vegetables in, especially like in high school, because I was, like I said, I was super active. So I played several different sports. So I needed a lot of everything, and I ate like it too. And so putting cheese on some vegetables adds protein. You get more vitamin D. Vitamin D is deficiency is like a chronic thing, and especially in America. So because our diets just don't support things that provide vitamin D. And then if you're melanated like we are, your vitamin D is even lower, because we can't absorb the UV. Like the melanin literally blocks the UV from entering our skin cells, where the vitamin D is produced. So that's why you see higher levels of depression in our people, because we just generally don't have, and vitamin D affects that, our mood. So having a vitamin D supplement and eating foods high in vitamin D is super important, especially for us melanated individuals. And generally wearing sunblock is better for your health anyway, because UV is very damaging. It creates free radicals, which your vegetables and fruits have a ton of, that's what antioxidants do. They neutralize these free radicals that cause cell damage and cancer. So yeah, that's it's a big cycle. Just get your vegetables in. All right. So show him some videos of people that refuse to eat vegetables. Ain't that how they did with sex education? They just showed you what it looks like, the horrors of it, and scare you away from it. So scare him into eating some vegetables.
Yes, it's funny because even when he was littler, I tried to, look at the big tree with the broccoli, and like you said, put cheese on it. And I'm like, boy, you was like, it's good. It is really good. I'm like, because I'm a picky eater. I'm like, so I'm telling you, I wouldn't lie to you, but it is really so. And then we already know, for me, I even know a lot of things I would not have dared touch when I was younger are literally some of my favorite foods. I wouldn't have, if my mom or somebody would have said, I'll give you $30 to eat cabbage when I was a kid, I would have been like, I don't even care. No, thank you. Now I could eat it every day. Spinach the same way, broccoli the same way. So he'll,
yeah,
broadening his horizons.
Mm-hmm. And also, stews and soups are a really good way to get a wide variety of vegetables and things into your diet, and it tastes good. So if you put especially if you put meat or meat stock, and the vegetables will end up tasting like meat. So I'm gonna let y'all get out of here. I ain't even know we done went all over time like that, but I'll see y'all over at RockTrue Beats in 30 minutes, and we'll see what science they end up slipping in there. Maybe he'll talk about the tuning forks, because I mean it's always a treat every show, and it's always a little bit extra other than just a nice groove. So I love it. It's nice and chill, very informative, and the topics are endless. So tune in, and always rock truth or nothing at all.